AYUC2019.
Welcome back to the Australian Youth Ultimate Championships. It's day 2 today. We have a matchup between Victoria and the Australian Capital Territory, or ACT. I'm your commentator, Rob Swan, and I'm joined here in the booth by Emma Beresford. How are you doing today?
Absolutely fantastic. The weather is incredible, classic Queensland winter. But, I mean, not much wind either. The players should really be having a good time during this game.
Yeah, it's been a little bit blustery, coming and going, but it seems to have calmed down right now. We'll see how it goes across the game. Of course, we are down here in Logan, being hosted by the Queensland Ultimate Disc Association and the Australian Flying Disc Association. So it's an incredible event. It's great to see the future talent coming out here, having a run. We've been very impressed by the quality of play. Particularly the men's division has shown some very close matchups. New South Wales showing so far to be quite a strong side, and ACT and Victoria fighting off for what could potentially be a spot in the final.
Exactly. This is a very important game for both of these teams, so hopefully we'll see them both bring out all the stops, try and make that final.
Absolutely. So on your screen here, the wind is picking up just after we said it wasn't a factor. The wind is going left to right, and ACT are in the light jerseys with the yellow and blue, Victoria in the dark blue jerseys. Victoria being coached by Tipman Wong and James Walker, two long-time coaches of that scene.
Ollie and Nick Hodson taking the helm for the ACT boys. Both of them experienced juniors, played on the Thunder campaign last time, and I think second time for both of them coaching in this division, so see what they can do, what they can pull out.
Absolutely. James Walker also a member of that last Thunder team. Thunder, of course, is the Australian under-20 boys team that plays at the World Junior Ultimate Championships. This is an important event for a lot of these athletes to showcase themselves, to try and get selected onto the under-20 team going to Manila for the under-18 Asian Championships later this year, which is sort of a precursor event to the World Junior Ultimate Championships, which will be run next year. So athletes trying to show off their best, absolutely show it to the selectors, as well as show it to themselves and represent their states well.
I expect to see some good things during this game. I mean, people do different things on live stream, but I'm expecting some show ponies to come out of the works.
Absolutely. Birchett with a pull here as we're opening, and ACT, that'll be Sanger, through to Young, coming down on offense for the ACT. Finds the open cutter. Good intensity, good pace to start the game here. Back to centre. Sanger finds Young again. They'll be getting a lot of a dish this game. Young sends it. Oh, and that's a great opening goal.
Fantastic. Great vision there. Found the open player in the end zone. Lovely throw. Sat it just for him. He was able to turn, get under the disc before the defender could catch up, put that pressure on.
Like to call that one a fat side backhand.
Yes.
So he's looked off the flick, gone and broken the mark, and just put it nicely out into space. And Fraser Wigney with all the time in the world to adjust, and disc sitting nicely. That is a turnover-free hold going downwind for ACT to open the game. If they can keep that up for the rest of the game, they will be a force to be reckoned with. So,
I agree. I think definitely for both of these teams, it's about how they set their intentions in these first couple of points. I mean, Victoria came off a really tough game in the time slot before this one, so we need to see how they can pull their heads in and bring it back, but ACT also need to remain super calm with the disc.
Yeah, this is ACT's first game of the day, so that'll be a little bit fresher. But Victoria will be warmed up. They'll have all their throws dialed in, and they'll be seeing this as an opportunity to get a good W here. Wicks with the disc. Looks got Burchak going long, elects not to take. Finds French on the under. French, the big man with a disc. Finally resets to Wicks. Wicks finds Vu on the under. Vu's got Burchak going deep. Launches the backhand. Victoria's got size in the end zone, but that disc is too long. Might have forgot what sport he's playing. Gone for the conversion.
I mean, it is difficult for these players to account for the wind at times. I mean, it's like you said, it's a bit gusty. It's picking up and then coming down again, and I think that one bit of wind at the wrong time sailed past the end zone.
Yeah, big flat backhand's going to be hard.
Yeah.
Oh, and he's roasted his man. Alex Young gets free up the line again. Doesn't got anyone to throw to. Sanger working hard in the dump space, but Burchak playing good D here. Young floats one up to a pack of people. Oh, and Wicks comes down with that.
Amazing grab.
Wicks, a former Australian under-20 representative. And there'll be a stall called.
It is always fantastic to see, especially at this level, in a big pack grab like that. Not very much contact, which is great to see.
Good straight up and down.
Yeah.
But that'll be an uncontested stall.
Good discussion.
Yeah, Cameron there, unable to get the throw off. And sorry, Cameron on the mark. Wicks pointing, marshalling the troops. He's calling for Vu out in the open lane. Vu trying to make some space. Wicks doesn't like it to start. Fakes his mark out, finds him on the inside, and Victoria have responded in not quite as clean an offense as ACT, but just as effective.
Definitely. I mean, Vu in the end zone definitely controlled his defender, knew where he wanted to move. He was going to get that disc, and that's great to see.
Yeah, credit to Wicks for faking and working hard and putting his mark literally on the floor. Being able to put the disc exactly where Vu wanted it. So ACT will be a bit encouraged by the fact that they were able to get a shot at going into the wind, get at least one offensive possession in. If they can keep holding these downwinders, then they'll have a shot at breaking. Victoria with the unenviable task of pulling into the wind. Looks like James French has the disc. He's been pulling for them to varying degrees of success across this tournament. If you can catch a little break in the wind, though, that might be nice. Those whistles you're hearing are from the game advisors, just to keep the pace of the game moving. They're not making active calls. Of course, we are self-refereed, but they're just keeping everything going between points. As Wigney just follows the roll, picks it up eventually. Finds Young in the center. Back to Sanger on the side. Young, Sanger. Dynamic duo, these two really doing well. Wigney, Young again. He's got options long. Oh, and that one is a big sky ball. Oh, and Miller comes over the back. Gets the disc, but a lot of contact there.
Yeah, it did seem like his arm came through and got the back of Hamish's head. You can hear some of the coaches in the background giving some advice, telling the players to use their hand signals. I mean, it's always great for us to be able to see the players effectively communicate and use those hand signals.
Yeah.
Communicates to the sideline as well what's going on.
So no call made there. Looks like they've decided that the contact wasn't dangerous and didn't affect his ability to make a play on the disc. So nice block to Miller there. Miller coming under, getting the disc late. Victoria advancing just up the sideline and sending it long. Oh, and Young elevating for the block.
Fantastic defence. I mean, ACT really didn't want them to get that upwinder. That would have been super important for Victoria.
A bit of a mismatch over Rob. But Young playing to his advantage, going down the sideline to Wigney. He's got players long. Oh, and a beautiful fake. Oh, and he's flubbed the flick. Great decision making. Way to look into the middle for the swing. But a little execution error.
Did all the right things. It happens. We're all human.
French picking up the disc for Victoria. They've got about half the field to go here. Miller, the first cut, he's gone long. Vic not with a lot of options here. French looking for that swing. Finds Lung in the centre. He's not got a lot of options here. Oh, and he's put that one just behind his cutter. Sanger putting it into the ground. Victoria back on D, Young walking to the disc. Young sends it again, and he's got a receiver with all the space, 2 of them, and that is
Fantastic.
just too easy. Blackburn in a paddock.
Oh, damn.
All right.
ACT had to say, saw them working on these great goal celebrations in their free time slot, in their bye this morning.
Absolutely. Put a
Hope
little
to see
spice
some
in
more.
it.
Yeah, hope to see some more interesting ones coming out of the game.
This is a real dime by Young. He's really put it out in front. It's got that nice edge on it, which is going to drop it in, let it sit. But full credit to Blackburn. He's got about 5 metres on his defender deep there. The Victorians can't let those shots come off going downwind if they expect to be getting many blocks here.
And it's good to see as well. I mean, ACT weren't doing anything fancy there. They had a stack, so all of their players lining up through the centre of the field and then getting essentially one person isolated out into a different third for the thrower, making the cuts up the length of the field. And Blackburn did it well. Didn't deviate to the side too much, allowed the thrower to have a lot of room to hit him with the disc.
Young with the block in the end zone and with the assist. Inserting himself into the game nice and early. As ACT have bricked this one, so it's out in the full, so Victoria have the choice to take it from where it crosses the sideline, or they can, as they are doing now, bring it to the big X marks the spot brick mark. Wicks brings it up, and Vu's coming under here, generating just a little bit of separation, closely guarded by Wigney. And Wicks sends it, he's got Burchett on the end of it. Well read, well thrown, easy goal, 1 pass offense for Victoria. Both these teams really loving those long shots going downwind.
Taking a leaf out of each other's books, seems to be very similar offensive plays from both teams now. I mean, they're doing well, playing to the conditions, capitalising on what it's giving them, and right now, neither team is stopping it, so...
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if there's any sort of tactical adjustments coming out from the coaches. It's really Victoria's game here. ACT have come out. We can see, same again, we've got Young and Sanger on the line. So they've definitely got that handling prowess to send it down. So Victoria really need to change up the way they're defending. Maybe they'll guard that deep space and see if they can get a block on these unders.
It'll be really interesting to see how the teams adjust to that as well, because at the moment they're playing well. They're shooting those shots when the player is actually free. So if either team making a defensive adjustment, it'll be interesting to see if they continue to try and push those deep shots going downwind.
Yeah, reading the defense and making the correct offensive play is something that's like highly, highly valuable in this game, but often isn't developed into a lot of experience. So whichever of these young, talented players has a cool head could take them out ahead. Just as we say adjustments, Victoria's come out in a pommy zone here. So they've got 4 players up around the disc and much, much more spread out downfield, as we can see. Victoria really working hard behind, swinging it side to side, trying to get an option here. Victoria with James French patrolling the deep space. Yeah, slight misread from the ACT receiver, and French eats that up. Victoria advancing well off the line, but they've not got a lot of options here. And that's a bit of a bump there on the undercutter.
Great spirit from them both.
Yeah, Rob slowed down just a little bit on that cut. Millard Cartwright was right on his hip, really pressuring that, but because he slowed down, came into his back, bumped him over.
Good to see the players amicably sorted out, though.
Be uncontested foul, just coming in on 6, so not a lot of time for Victoria to work, and that's a late shot coming up. Put into the ground by ACT. A couple of meters gained on that.
Looks like Vic is setting up their zone again.
And Sanger with the early shot, and not bad, at a catchable height in the end zone, but maybe a half second too early for his receiver. Weren't quite in position. Looking for Blackburn again.
ACT will want to put on a whole bunch of pressure right now. They don't want them moving the disc too far up the field. Especially the wind has died just a little bit. So if Vic can capitalise, get this upwind break.
Wow, this absolute screamer of a cut from Forsyth, coming in there, generating about 6 meters of separation.
Huge under.
French again, taking a great grab. Young in the area. ACT defense getting a bit disconnected here. French electing not to reset. Store count's got to be high now.
Get it off.
Oh, and that shot's just gone straight into the air. Forsyth looking for the greatest, but can't get it to come back in.
Love that play, though.
Yeah, Forsyth with the hustle, but not the execution. So Victoria getting a few in a row, but they're really looking trapped on that sideline, unable to effectively generate separation. And setting the zone again, and that's a handling error. Young a bit too casual with his work there, as our tent's nearly blown away. And Victoria with an opportunity, only about 15 meters short of the end zone here.
Another big undercut from Forsyth there. Got up the lines. Coming now from French. Can he get there? There's going to be a bit of discussion with that one. No call. Great hand signals.
And that'll be ACT's disc. Swinging again around the back of this zone. Young, Millard, Cartwright, all going to be putting in a lot of work there. Oh, a little too quick, and that's a golden opportunity for Victoria to go upwind here.
Exactly what Victoria want right now.
And ACT Forsyth again getting it done.
Easy.
And that is an upwind break for Victoria. ACT just not with the composure and consistency to swing the disc around behind this Victoria zone.
I think now from Victoria we're probably going to see quite a bit more zone. I mean, worked that one time for them. I can only assume that the Victorian coaches are going to use that play again, really put that pressure on the ACT handlers.
Yeah, we've seen a decent amount of the ACT handlers break throws and ways to move the disc come through a lot of high throws, sort of over the shoulder, little lofty looks, which just get eaten up in the wind.
Exactly right.
Effective throws in the wind are always short and snappy and really low to the ground. So if ACT is able to generate those, then they'll be able to sort of work their way around this zone. But they can't be yielding 1 meter opportunities to Victoria and expecting to get a block. Victoria putting on a pretty big line. They've got a couple of throwers here. Wicks with the pull again. They're going to look to double down in their break and really extend their lead out. Oh, and that pull's dropped right in the corner there. ACT are in the coffin corner. Young with the disc here. He's got no options. Looking at a very, very tight zone. There's only allowed to be one defensive player within 3 meters, unless there are more offensive players around. So they do have to give him a little 3 meter buffer. And ACT trying to hop it. And it's possible, but this is going to require a great deal of execution to get it done. They're broken around. Wigney with a disc here. They need to display patience. He's got Young. They're on the sideline now. They're in a similar location. Young looking to swing the disc. He's got Wigney. Gains 1 meter and a reset stall count. Wigney goes back to Young. Young keeps it inside. Centers to Sanger. Oh, and this is some attacking frisbee, but just a misread, and ACT are now looking at their own upwind break. Back to Sanger. Wigney. Wigney going all the way backwards to Sanger, losing ground but resetting the disc. Wigney again. Young working to get open. Gets out in front there. Sanger free on the cone. Young looking the other way. Young flips it in. Wigney's there. ACT on the line. A little bit of bump. A lot of people there. And he calls a timeout as a veteran play.
Oof.
He's aware of how important this goal is. Victoria looking to consolidate their break with a downwind break. And ACT responding very well, not having turned the disc over. We saw them in a number of pressure scenarios with that zone around them. A couple of good swings and one nice break up the center from Young.
It was, great maturity, I think, from the ACT boys there. They got broken upwind. I think they're all experienced enough to know how important that upwind break was for Victoria, and they have answered in kind. Really impressive to see these boys do that.
Absolutely. It's a very veteran, considered and calm approach to be literally 10 centimeters away from scoring a goal and not turn it over, just call a timeout. So ACT extremely likely to run a set play here in isolation with one player. Victoria probably going to come out some kind of defense. We can see head coach Tipman Wong gesticulating wildly. Something cheeky around the corner, I bet.
So in a timeout like this during play, the offense have to set their positions and then the defense are allowed to set up off them.
And the defense have set in a zone and the offense weren't expecting that, even though Victoria's been in a zone the whole time. So we've reset back to Sanger. We're stuck on the sideline and they're unable to complete the 2-meter pass. That's a heartbreaker for ACT.
Smart play by Victoria there. I don't think the ACT boys were expecting them to come out in zone when they were right on that end zone line.
Yeah.
Threw them for a 1.
It's tough, but also Victoria were in a zone defense formation the entire way up the field. Oh, and that is a gift. That is a gift. Wicks has elected not to sling it long to Jimmy Vu and has given Young and the ACT offense another chance, and they've just coughed it up under pressure. So loose coming, and a shot comes straight away. Oh, that floating. Oh, nicely collected by Young, and they've got to gain some free meters here before the defense arrives. Sanger, Young on the bike, but he just can't throw it. And it looks like there's a call. There's a travel called on the throw, but if there's a travel called on a throw and it's a turnover, the turnover stands. So Vic kind of close. Wicks puts it up. Burchett in the area, and Sanger reads it perfectly, gets his body in front, gets a block.
Fantastic defensive positioning there from Sanger. There's no way that Burchett was going to be able to come over the top of him or go through him to be able to cleanly get the goals. So really made it difficult for him and got the D.
Yeah, ACT with a full field to work now. And this Victoria zone looking set, looking comfortable. Young and Wigney and Sanger are going to have to do a lot of work behind the disc here.
Inside their defensive end zone right now, Victoria want to look for that Callahan opportunity.
Sanger with a great fake and gainer. Oh, Wicks with a good read and a quick flip, and that's bobbled. Oh, it's a goal. Very nicely.
Great hands there.
ACT with all of the opportunities in the world there, a timeout on the end zone line, and I think that is just a very poor play call. Victoria played zone against them the entire time, and they came out of the timeout expecting Victoria to do something different, and they played the zone again and got a turnover. So ACT have squandered a golden opportunity there, and Victoria go up 4-2.
Hopefully the ACT coaches are kind of hyping the boys back up though, reminding them that they were able to confidently get the disc upfield, upwind, work it through those short passes. They did break through Victoria's zone, so not all bad things from that point from ACT. They've shown that they can get it done.
Yeah, they were able to put themselves in a good position and give themselves a shot at it. They weren't able to close, but if you don't even get to that position, you don't even get the chance.
Exactly right.
ACT will look to go downwind here, stabilise a bit as this wind is getting a little more blustery. There's a bit of crosswind to it.
You can see on the screen there, flag going absolutely crazy. Yeah, tough to pull in these conditions.
Victoria go back to this zone that's worked so well for them. I'd be surprised to see ACT do anything that isn't huck it long. Staying with the disc here, looking a bit trapped. Beautiful swing. Wigney with the disc. ACT putting a lot of Ks on the feet of their star handlers. Staying with the disc here, Wigney. You see the deep cutters from ACT don't quite have the separation. Victoria has James French deep, and he's sort of patrolling that area. ACT not threatening the long shot at the moment.
They definitely need to be providing a lot more options in that under space. Handlers can't do it
with
all.
a great grab in traffic.
But as I say that, Singer absolutely fantastic grab over the top.
Cartwright Williams with not a great shot through the cup there. So ACT really need to be playing for a bit of yardage there. Seen Victoria do it. ACT playing one-on-one match defense here, forcing backhand, French with the disc. Oh, there's a lot of defensive pressure coming from the ACT, but Forsyth able to get that disc with momentum, carrying him to the break side, and then a couple of continued break passes, and that's an upwinder from Vic. That is not the response that ACT are looking for. Vic has taken control of this game early.
I mean, we can see here in the replay, there's a huge defensive bid from Wigney. Fantastic hands from Victoria there to hold on to the disc. Even feeling that player right on your back, right on your shoulder.
Yeah, Miller with a goal there. So ACT need to be able to work out how they can go upwind against this Victorian zone, because the Victorians are not going to put it away if it's paying such good dividends. So ACT need to work out what their response is, how they can run it, and it needs to be something different than what they've done so far. They've been able to work around and sort of generate with a few players, but they really were only able to break all the way last time, thanks to a great grab. Need to see something clickable.
They're definitely relying a lot on their handlers, and they don't have a huge amount of options upfield, which makes it really difficult for the handlers. Also difficult for their decision making, because you get into that position. So easy to get frustrated, and that's when you make those bad decisions and try to pop one through the cup or over the cup, see a space that's not there.
Yeah, it's something that challenges handlers of all ages to carry such a large offensive load. As Victoria have given a bit of a head start here. Sanger bringing it up to the brick mark. So they're only got 2/3 of the field to go. As Young gets the disc. Willard Cartwright. And Young shoots. This is what's worked before. But and it is dropped. That is a heartbreaker. Cobcroft couldn't hang on to that.
I like that play though. Get it moving.
I think so. Oh, and that's just landed right in the ground, and they've failed to stop the roll. Really needed to see a lot more hustle. If ACT have stopped that disc rolling, they would have saved themselves about 20 metres, whereas now they have to bring it up to the front of the end zone.
I mean, Victoria can't be too unhappy with that result. As much as they didn't continue their offensive possession, that roll has now put ACT in a super tough position. All they need to do now is keep their heads, keep the formation of the zone, and hopefully something will cough up for them.
Young with a nice little lofty. He's got a couple of players deep, so hopefully they elect to swing, get someone. Oh, beautiful round by Sanger. Willard Cartwright floating that out. Not collected by his player.
They've got the tools, those handlers of ACT. Some beautiful breaks there.
Yeah, we'll see how they work with their receiving power as Wicks has the disc. Wicks shoots a massive hammer. Oh, and Burchett with a diving grab in the far corner.
Absolutely great hands there from Burchett. I mean, difficult to catch a hammer in the wind at the best of times, let alone having to put your body on the line for it. So
great to see. That one was
Victoria will be happy with that.
Down in. So Victoria with a commanding lead in this game. So ACT really unable to stop Victoria going into the wind and unable to respond themselves. They've got to be able to stop the bleeding here. They've got to be able to go downwind, got to be able to put this one in.
I think as well it's a bit for the mental game as well. Remind themselves that they can score, and it'll be incredibly important for them to get that one, just to get them hyped again.
Yeah, if they don't score this point, they're probably out of contention for the win. Unless they're able to manufacture something that we haven't seen so far, which I myself, and I'm sure all the punters at home, would love to see.
I mean, when these two teams faced up yesterday, it was 10-6. We've seen some good plays from ACT, some great swings. They can find their players into space, get some flow going. So at this point in time, they've got all the tools they need to swing the game back in their favour. It's just whether or not they're going to get those connections working for them.
Yeah. ACT showing flashes of what they need.
Victoria coming out in what looks to be more of an arrowhead zone.
Yeah.
Different from their Plummy.
Yeah. But a 3 up front, 2 in the middle, 2 out the back. So that is a nice adjustment by them, nice and proactive, and it's really going to discourage ACT shooting long because they've got those, instead of just one, they've got 2 players patrolling deep, and there's a foul called on a shot through the middle. And that's uncontested. That'll be Wigney's disc. ACT have made it about halfway now. Coming out of the stoppage, let's see if they can reset, show some discipline, and then get the downwinder. Wigney advancing the disc. Back to Young. Young. Into the centre. Bit of a lofty one. Finds Sanger. Sanger puts that one up, but that's okay. Wigney's got it. Wigney back to Sanger. Sanger, beautiful swing. Finds Young on the far side. Young back to Sanger. Sanger shoots it in the middle. And is just overshot his receiver. Hussein was screaming through there. Sanger pushing the pace just a little bit.
It's good to see them moving the cup though. Defensively, it's most important that you keep the positions of the zone. When you start to move out of place, that's when the handlers can really capitalise.
Yeah, a lot of pressure there as French gets the disc, and French not able to throw that flick into the wind. Eaten up by Wigney. Sanger, Young, Wigney really carrying this offense for ACT. Back to Young here. Young pops on in the middle. That's Hussein. He's got this one nicely. Back to Wigney. They're looking at the door of downwinder here. Sanger gets it. Looks for an easy one. It's still up.
Oh.
And bounces off the back of Victoria, and that's a turnover. ACT not showing the patience they had before. Just trying to get a cheeky one in there. And Victoria punishing them nicely for it.
Yeah, Alex Young almost being able to just pick that disc off the back of the head of the Victorian defender.
Miller fixing them up there. French with the disc. ACT just playing a one-on-one match defense here. Reset still alone. ACT guarding these unders, cuts towards the disc, forcing Victoria to go for a long shot, which is going to be much harder to pull off, and that's a leading throw. Well collected. And that's an up the line from French, and that's a shot into the end zone. That's just not collected. Rob can't get a hand around that. He's right on the sideline. It might have gone out even.
Good effort though. I mean, if sideline or not, like, got dirty, got on the ground. What we want to see from these players.
ACT need to hug at the whole field and get a turn. There's a lot more space in the center of the field. Oof. And it looks like that didn't come in. Oh, it's come just in. There's lots of different people pointing. If the frisbee goes out from where it was thrown and then never comes back in the field, the Victorians will get to take it in from wherever it crossed the line. But if it curls around in the air and comes back in, as it so very often does, get to take it from where it comes back in. Looks like there's a bit of discussion. We're getting some indication from the game advisor, who's just letting him know what his perspective is. And the players have agreed that we're coming in just short of halfway. Young doing a great job of stopping French up the line. Young are unable to complete. And ACT looking to move the disc quickly. Sanger to Wigney. Wigney back to Sanger. Sanger's got no options, and this Vic zone is setting itself up. Oh, and Sanger just puts that one on the ground in front of Wigney. Long picking up here. Forsyth, ever reliable for this Victorian team. Throws that into the goal, and that is an upwinder. Miller getting open on the cone. Victoria on an absolute tear.
Be surprised if the ACT coaches didn't call a timeout right now. Just get them to calm things down a little. There was a couple of turns in that last point. They worked it all the way down the field, and it's just that quick shot that's let them down. Bit too zippy, didn't balance themselves, it's gone into the ground, or didn't account for the wind.
Yeah, they're carrying a significant load, and
big burden, yeah.
That many throws in this difficult conditions, eventually the turnovers are going to come, and that's, you know, partly what the Victorian defense is predicated upon.
Yeah.
You know, so ACT need to change the game. They need to change the way they're playing offense against the Victorians. I haven't seen them shoot for yardage much. They're still trying to play for possession, which is admirable, but in these sorts of conditions, with the completion rate that they have, it might be good to shoot for distance, get the disc down the downwind end, and then play some sort of zone of their own, trying to get a block, because we've seen that Victoria is able to work the disc all the way up the field against the ACT match defense.
But we've also seen that Victoria isn't infallible either, so I think definitely would be a wise play for ACT. Put a bit of pressure themselves onto the Victorians, see what they can bring to the table against an ACT zone look.
Absolutely. They're going to change something, as I have another cracker going upwind here. Wigney getting open, diving in here. He's got a couple of players working with him. Young gets the disc here. ACT looking stagnant. There's a bit of contact going in there. ACT players running into that small space, and the Victorian players trying to get in there first, trying to seal off the space, but can't just jump in the way of someone that's running. Expect them to slow down in an instant. Well, Young looks off Wigney. might not get a better chance. He floats that one over the top. Harding collects it on the sideline and shoots that one, lofts it into the air, and that might not have been the option. Definitely had a couple of players available, but not completed. And now Wicks is going to pick up the disc, and 20 back says he throws it about as far as he can. And Vu's taken off. Wicks eyes it up. He's looking real deep here. He's elected not to throw it here. Maybe they're playing for possession here. If ACT are playing like they really don't want that deep shot to come, then they'll be yielding a lot of unders. And that's a great crossfield shot, but Victoria all cutting hard towards the open space. Not a lot of setups coming. And
see what ACT can do right now. Capitalise.
Wigney picks up, finds Young.
Oh, hands by Hamish.
Very nice. Way to turn, way to dig that one out of the dirt.
Smart as well. They got the disc moving a lot faster than what they had previously. The zone got slightly out of position, and then they were able to get that one through the defensive players and just sneak one in for a goal. Hopefully they can really use this to get their confidence back up, build their spirits again.
So that's what they needed. That's a bit of spark here from ACT. They've gone into the wind and they've started to close the gap a bit. Victoria with quite a sizable lead. I wouldn't call it comfortable just yet, but 4 points. And if ACT can put one in going downwind here, be a 3-point game.
Love to see some huge defensive pressure from ACT coming out in this point. They have a real opportunity going downwind now to get another break.
Yeah, Sanger and Wigney running it back here. They're carrying it, just grinding and grinding and grinding for this team, and I want to see some sort of different defensive strategy for them here. Sanger puts that one up. It's going to sit nicely in the corner, collected by Cameron. And there we go. This is ACT's zone. Oh, and that's been coughed up by Victoria.
Worked. Let's see what ACT can do. Let's see if they can keep their heads calm, capitalise on this opportunity.
Questionable choice by ACT here to walk the disc here. Wigney goes around, and that's it.
That's the break they were looking for. Oh, call.
It might have been a pig in a stack. Delbo doing well to get open there. Wigney nice to go around, but we'll see what the call is. Pick similar to shepherding or screening, and is a stoppage of play. So ACT coming out with a different play call here. Potentially just calling a different cutter here. Wigney's got a man on the open side. Elects not to take it. Sanger with not a great cut, but hops it, collects it. ACT looking very cluttered here. They find Wigney again. Wigney goes wide and long, and he finds his man, Delbu, again. Open and available.
Great to see them super calm there. I mean, they already started to celebrate a little bit when they got that first goal, and always that disappointment creeps back in. You're like, oh, there's been a call. Fantastic spirit from both teams there, respectfully chatted out, brought it back in, and ACT converted again.
Yeah, really nice to see. Great shots across the field.
Some good patience by the handlers as well. I mean, easy to get into that space and only have eyes for the end zone. Leave it way too long to get that shot off for your dump, but they were able to do that, move the disc quite nicely.
Yeah, great to see Sanger and Wigney pull it back out of that cone and go for the wide. Look, that's where the space is. That's where goals are made. So 7-4, still Victoria in the lead by 3. ACT 2 on the trot. Bit of spark, bit of life in their side here. Really like to see them carry this momentum in, get a break going upwind. and stopped it about halfway. Sanger running this one back again. He's playing every other at least for them. And Wicks with the disc. He's got Burchett going long. His shot immediately. Sanger in the area, and that is a great block. Sanger doing it all for this team.
I think that's twice now that matchup between Sanger and Burchett. Once again, Sanger getting in front, getting the positioning.
Yeah, Burchett's got about 4 inches on him, but Sanger's always in the right spot here, and he's gone upwind nicely. Harding with the disc. He's got to play it deep. Holsters the disc. Not a bad option. Finds his man on the sideline. Sanger gets open behind. Goes wide, finds Young. Young in the center of the field. Young will look to shoot here. Victoria back into match defense. Sanger finds Young, and Young a little too casual on the catch. Puts that one in the dirt. Victoria about 2/3 of the field to go.
Huge under there from Jimmy Vu. Got to play streaming deep. No, it looks him off. Working now for Burchett. Big under. Great defensive pressure there from Alex Sanger.
Burchett wants this goal here. Looking big. Goes around to Wicks. Victoria incredibly spread out here. Finds Burchett again. Burchett back to Wicks. This is Young and Sanger versus Burchett and Wicks at the moment. Vu gets the disc on and under. Wicks with a disc. Pressured again. Just having a little sit down.
Back in.
Oh, flips it high. Oh, and it bobbled again. Oh. And well read. Man off the back. Cameron gets the goal.
I mean, smart by Cameron. Always a good thing to have a backup player, especially when you're making some of those shots in these windy conditions. And as you can see, I think probably the intended target was Jimmy Vu there. Popped up above his head. Cameron was able to clean up those scraps.
Yeah, Cameron Armstrong.
Is that half now? I think it is.
Absolutely. That's 8 points. That's half time.
Fantastic way for Victoria to take half there.
Yeah, really bit of a downer to end the half. ACT were looking so good, especially when Victoria on their offensive defense, after turning it over, trying to go downwind, they didn't have time to set a zone and were going straight into match defense. ACT looked very, very capable of going up into the wind, connecting a lot of passes. Just a small execution error yielded the disc back to Victoria. And Victoria going to the half up 8-4. And we'll be back with you in about 5 minutes' time. And we're back for the second half of this ACT Victoria matchup here at the Australian Youth Ultimate Championships. Seeing some of the best young talent from these two states. One state, one territory rather. Duking it out. Victoria in a pretty strong lead, 8-4 at the moment. But ACT really showing some signs of life just before half, getting 2 or 3 points in a row and looking to make a difference here in these sort of windy conditions, but a bit of stillness at the moment.
Yeah, definitely not over for either team right now. Victoria can't take their foot off the pedal. ACT still need to keep working hard. Big shot from Victoria. Ooh, comes down with it. Fantastic hands in the end zone there from Forsyth.
Yeah, really having to work a lot harder than he should have. Miller putting that one right at his feet. And we've seen Victoria come to that play time and time again when they're going downwind, picking it up, looking for one of their big receivers, and just shooting it straight away. And normally, Sanger would be all over this. He's gotten a couple of blocks here, but he was off defending a handler. So couldn't quite impact this play. So that's all right. There's a downwind hold for Victoria. They're extending their lead, and ACT, you know, if they can start holding downwind, they'll sort of they'll keep themselves in the running here, but they really need to get some breaks on the board. They want to start closing the gap there. Quite a few points behind here, and trading is not going to be enough for them to win this game. These teams are, of course, playing for a potential spot in the final. New South Wales so far being the dominant team in the division. We'll expect to see them in the grand final tomorrow.
Pool lands in. Victoria coming down in another zone. Looks to be their arrowhead again. Stopping any open and break looks.
And
that's the pressure.
Willard Cartwright can't complete that backwards flick to Sanger. Was under a lot of pressure there, but they're yielding an incredibly short turn. Victoria only having to work about 15 metres here. I would have much rather have seen him just throw it to no one and make Victoria work the entire field. As French brings the disc up here. And ACT playing a one-on-one match defense. It's not bad so far. French with no options. Floats that one to the back of the end zone. And Young patrolling the skies there.
I mean, French, I think, fell right into that trap that I talked about earlier. Only had eyes for the end zone. Didn't once look at his dump. When you're going upwind, can't be doing that. You need to be moving the disc.
And that's almost what I would have liked to have seen before. Young, not a lot of options, and tries to send it down the other side, but we'll see whether or not that came into the field. If it went straight out, Young was standing on the sideline, and then it didn't come back in, Victoria will get to bring the disc in from where it crossed the line. Which, based on the vague pointing of people on the field, seems to be about halfway, so not too bad. But would have liked to see an outside in edge on that one, have it curl back into the field rather than further away. French bringing the disc in again. And hits Lung in the hand as he comes under, but unable to collect that one. Young with the disc again. Floats that one high, finds Wigney, his partner in crime, on the sideline. Wigney goes back to Harding. Harding, wobbly flick to Young, and just not nice enough to deserve a catch, apparently. And no one on the mark at the moment. French with the disc. French with a nice and round backhand, finds Armstrong. Armstrong leads French out. He's right in front here. ACT need a block. They can't yield another turn here. Right on the doorstep. A lot of defenders right on this open cone here. And that is a cheeky skewer over the top. And French getting out in front of his player who's limping a little bit, but...
It's smart play by the Victorians there. They had a huge height mismatch, and That French did really well not to clog that dump space too much. Wrapped right around.
Yeah.
Easy goal.
ACT yielding far too many short field turns. They're not effectively playing long shot defense. Victoria have played it aggressively, shooting to no one or to half options and then running down to set a zone, which has given ACT a lot of troubles. Classic Huck and D strategy. And ACT not so willing to do that, and I'm not necessarily advocating that they shoot to no one, but if that's the only alternative to yielding short field turns.
I mean, we've seen Victoria before. I don't know how confidently they work through that ACT zone that they put on them going upwind. Definitely weren't getting sort of those long cutting shots through the ACT zone. So really, ACT is making their job super easy by making them only work 15 metres to get that upwind goal.
Yeah. ACT need to show that they can go upwind here if they want to get into this game. And picking up the disc, and that's a block straight away. Young looking for the centering pass, needed to be the one picking up the disc. Victoria with about 3 metres to go. Armstrong with a disc and leads Wicks in, but Wicks bobbles it in and out of the hands. Too busy hopping. And now Young will have the disc. He's one of the stalwart handlers for this ACT team. Pops it in the middle there. To Colbcroft. To Young. Young, far too casual. Needed to use 2 hands to catch that frisbee.
See what Victoria can do here. Second opportunity in this space. Looks like they're doing a bit more of a set play. Forsyth coming in from the back of the stack there.
A high arcing shot. Oh, and French getting up over the top. It's a big tall boy, and that's what his limbs are made for. 11-4 Victoria in a commanding lead of this game. ACT offense lacks the punch it had at the start of the game. At the start of the game, the handling trio of Young, Wigney and Sanger was slicing and dicing and making that Victorian zone look like it was made of holes. But late now, they might not have the legs, the catching efficiency has gone down, and they're really just not punching in their offense. They're really not threatening into the wind like they have been previously.
Look, I can imagine, especially for the ACT handlers, they're absolutely grinding out there at the moment. They're playing pretty well every point at least for the last half hour or so. And so it's just hard not to get demoralised, hard not to get your head down. You're busting your guts out on the field, and still some execution errors letting you down.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. ACT got to come downwind and see if they can show some spark late in this game here. Burchett with a ripper pull, shooting up the centre there.
Fantastic upwind pull.
Sanger with the collection, finds Young. Back to Willard Cartwright. Finds Young. Down to Sanger. Sanger to Young. And
quick, they're pushing things.
Yeah, the load that they've been carrying is really getting to them. They've been unable to get it done.
Absolutely denied by Fraser Wigney.
Yep, Young picks it up.
This is what we want.
On his bike, and Young shoots late, and it's crossfield, but he's got a second player. Oh, Hussein unable to grab it.
Great bid there.
And at least now Victoria have got a much longer way to go, but ACT just playing match defense here. They're not setting a zone, not doing anything that's worked for them before, but
got that turn.
Bit of a miscue. Sanger gripping and ripping. And we've got 3 ACT players in the end zone, but the disc is too long. ACT, clear change in mindset here. They've got receivers streaming after a turn, and they're picking up and going. I'm really liking this change of mindset from them. If they can get some easy downwinders
Time to really turn the pressure up. I mean, no point doing that play if you're then going to make it easy offensively for the other team to just work it all the way back up the field. Need to put foot down, generate that turn, ACT.
Bit of a miscue. Victoria looked like they're trying to set zone. Wigney losing his mind in the far corner, and that's just a misread.
Almost seems like it was a bit of a miscommunication as well. I think both players went over their heads and then expected the other to sort of turn and make that second bid for it, and then neither ended up doing it.
Yeah, Wigney will be spewing. He was calling out, hopping around like a frog on a log there.
See if ACT can do it again. It's now been twice, 3 times in a row, able to get that turn.
Young hopping up over the pack to get that one. Finds Wigney. Wigney pops it over. Sanger looks for the hop. And I'll have a chat about whether he was on the ground before he caught it. If he had a foot down when he caught it and then hopped, he'll have to take it back out. But if he caught that in the air, that'll just be a goal. And
possibly deciding whether or not his foot was on the line. If his foot's on the line, also not a goal.
Getting the perspective of the game advisor here. There's a couple of Victorian boys signalling for a goal. And it looks like it'll be called not in. Still his disc, of course. And ACT got to maintain composure here. We've seen them swing it. Young's got to look wide. He's looking at this close space, but he's got 3 defensive players. Sanger got to look for the swing. Got to spread this disc out. Resetting nicely. Young goes wide. Hussein and Aker. That is nice composure.
Great vision there from Alex Young. ACT would be very happy that they were able to put that one in there.
Yeah, it was a bit scrappy, but late in the game, if you're looking to mount a comeback, you've got to get some scrappy goals. You've got to be willing to get in the mud, fight for it, and make some goals out of nothing. And that's what they've done here.
I mean, yeah, it's good to see ACT bringing that grit to the field. I mean, don't want to see any player giving up on the disc, giving up on the game, and definitely haven't seen that from ACT. Still working really hard on defense. Getting those turns. I mean, that point just before, 3 turns in a row from that defensive pressure. So hopefully they can see that strat of putting it deep, forcing Victoria to go upwind. They can be a little bit more confident that Victoria aren't just going to cruise upwind offensively. So maybe we'll see a shift. Maybe we'll see ACT change it up.
Yeah, still a good chunk of time in this game. A bit over 20 minutes left, so plenty of time for ACT to mount a comeback if they can really string a few points in a row. As that is a beautiful
ripper.
Oh, no first option. Sanger coming down on Wicks here. Oh, Wicks floating one. It's a beautiful dropping in on Jimmy Vu. And Victoria suddenly halfway. ACT Sanger trying to deny the disc to ACT star handler, and he's done a great job.
Oh,
the pressure's mounting. French looks long. And Armstrong.
There we go.
Just collected that one. Victoria again, just lofting it downwind. ACT coming down with a match defense again. No adjustments. It might have been, in my mind, that was the time to do something different. Not give Victoria the same look going downwind as they've had this entire game. Needed to throw a zone, do anything to make them operate differently. They're far too comfortable shooting those deep shots.
Look, it's also just super tough when you go out and your offensive points to get a goal are really forcing you to work hard. It's not clean. It's not 2-3 point offenses. They're having to get it back after they turn the disc, and then to come out and have Victoria just pop a couple through and score the goal super quick. It's tough.
Yeah. It really minimises the achievement of them working and grinding for so long to go downwind. But I would have liked to have seen them take a page. Victoria playing a zone against ACT, and ACT really struggling, having a hard time going downwind, and ACT not looking to that, just trusting in their match defense, which has been not exactly stellar for them today. Armstrong with a pull. This one dropping down short of the brick mark, and Young ambling to the disc. Looks like Victoria have gone back to a match defense here. And then Young correspondingly lofts one up. Harding's in the area. Oh! Harding and Cobcroft unable to get a hand on that. Nice throw from Young, but
once again, like the option. Nice weighted disc. Once again, we've seen quite a few players this game put a little bit too much muscle behind those shots going downwind. So weighted really nicely by Alex Young. Unfortunately. Oh, big D denied by ACT. Victoria have had real trouble getting it off that end zone line, working it upwind.
And it's time cap called, so let's see if we can get 7 on the trot from ACT here. Of course, and ultimately you got to score to win. And Hussein, double happiness. That's the block and the goal. There's a little spark here, and that'll be Victoria going downwind, looking to win, put the game away. But it's going to be challenging. ACT haven't really shown an ability to slow or even stop the Victorian offense going downwind, just with their match defense. So if the time was ever ripe to change what you're doing, just throw the book at them, don't go down with a whimper, give them all you got in this last point. Want to see some funky defensive strategy here. Putting out, looks like a star-studded line to me, but
exactly right. I mean, what we don't want to see here is Victoria kind of getting that easy goal, 2-3 passes down the field. We want to see some real pressure from ACT, make them slow down. We want them to be throwing a lot of passes as a defensive look.
Want them to throw side to side, up near their own end zone, not gaining a lot of ground easily, throwing a lot of passes and hoping they'll turn it over and yield a chance for an upwind break. And the disc is down there, but it's ACT defense. Let's see what they bring.
Got to get those legs going.
And it's match defense again. And Forsyth has gone deep. Miller with a disc, but that's no good. Ooh. Great contest. Forsyth doing his best, but throw didn't really deserve it. And ACT got a shot here. And Victoria playing match. So ACT in with a chance, in with a real chance to go upwind here.
Yeah, we'll see what they can do.
Young with a disc, finds Harding on the sideline, and that is in and out of his hands. That is a heartbreaker.
It is. Get 2 hands on the disc, you feel like you deserve to catch every single one of them.
Done the hard bit right. Wick's bringing the disc in here. And Miller on the cone. Oh, and that's a bit of contest, but they will call that a goal, and that'll be it.
Yeah.
Victoria, little bit of a last gasp, a little bit of a push from ACT there, but never really able to slow down Victoria's downwind offense, and really just couldn't break themselves back into the game.
And look, it'll be interesting to see what Victoria does as well with this information from today. I mean, definitely didn't play a perfect game. They will be having some chats with their coaches about how they can fix things up going into the final against New South Wales tomorrow.
Absolutely, and that will be an exciting matchup. Looking for that gold medal. We're going to go into a lunch break, and we will have a Queensland derby between the 2 Queensland mixed teams this afternoon at 2 p.m. So tune in for that. I've been Rob Swan, joined by MS Beresford. Thanks for tuning in.
Alt.tv